If you had to pick one superpower, what would you choose? Or actually, if you had to pick as many superpowers as possible, actually, what's your favorite superpower? Like that's the actual question I should be asking because I have so many like thoughts on different superpowers that I really really enjoy. Like I enjoy looking at and I enjoyed like the whole concept of them. Even though a lot of them are flawed, you know how superpowers are generally just kind of flawed because the whole reason they don't exist is usually because they can't exist. Like because they literally cannot exist right now in the universe with the way it is. Like it's possible, but not probable because the universe just can't let that happen. Like, powers like the ability to control gravity, which which feels kind of weird, you know? Because if you're talking about gravity, like flying, for example, you know how like Superman flies or like this guy in the what's the name of the show? Is it Invincible? I think Invincible. Yeah, like this very popular animated show that has this guy from Voltron. He's a Voltronite. What's his name? Omni Man. Yeah. So like that kind of ability to fly, where you're not really you're not like pushing air down. You're not like jumping really really fast and aerodynamicism your way around. No, you're basically just floating. You're controlling your gravity. Even though you have a lot of mass, you're able to just control your gravity, control your I don't know your being. So like if like that whole thing obviously cannot like that's one of those things that it's a concept because it's literally illogical in every way. There could be some kind of deeper and deeper explanation about how they manipulate quantum physics and they manipulate it. But like still, it doesn't really work when you break down what they're doing. And there are a lot of powers like that, and I really want to talk about this because I think this is a pretty fun topic. Welcome to the HowToKDJ podcast, episode 7 or 6 or something. I don't know. I'm not keeping track anymore. I'm kind of trying to catalog episodes so I can release daily and stuff because I want to be active as possible. So pretty much any thought I have, I kind of just make a video about it because I don't know. This is the best way I can think of to make content, like creative content about myself or about things that I think about concerning other people, but inherently about myself because I'm the one commentating. I'm the host of this podcast anyway. I'm David. That's my logo right there. I don't know why I keep pointing it out, but like I don't know. I made it in Photoshop and stuff, so I'm kind of proud of it. I'm also a professional video editor and graphic designer, and that's what I made. So it's kind of I don't know. It's funny to me that I put that little effort into making a logo when I could literally make a lot of different. I could make something very complex if I wanted to, but I just chose not to, I guess. Anyway, superpowers, right? I love, like, dude, there are so many powers that I think about all the time, and I'm like, this seems very plausible, and this would be very cool to have. I think the way I would make this episode is I want to start from like the base level superpowers that are just basically they help with conveniences, like with inconveniences actually. They help with inconveniences, like little things that would just help you in minor things or minor activities you do every day. And then from there I'll go up to like groundbreaking powers, like abilities that can literally change the dynamicism of everything. And I'll also get into the fact that a lot of little powers you think about are technically groundbreaking when you really think about it. Let's start from like, I don't know, fire breathing. Okay, that's a little much. Let's start from a simple one, a very simple one. The ability to change your it's really difficult to think about one specific one that doesn't just become groundbreaking when you really dig deep into it. But let's be random here. I think that's the easiest way to go about it because the more I discuss about them, I'm pretty sure I would unlock some things about them that just kind of make them impossible. So let's start from the ability to control heat, right? That's it. You just have the ability to control, like, to heat things up. You can create, like, heats from your hand. Like, you can create fire if you really tried, like, really hard. I think that's pretty fun. Like, it's fun not because I'm an arsonist or anything, but, like, because I feel like there are a lot of things that we would be able to gain from. And these powers kind of depend on how they affect you, I guess, because like if you could just do that and that was just part of how you were, you didn't need to you didn't need to put any energy into it. You just produce heat, or you can just control like things around. You can control heat. I think first of all, that's inherently flawed. Immediately I found out, like, I just broke the whole reason that doesn't work, because heat is basically air molecules. Like it's molecules of anything, not always air molecules, but heat in general is produced when molecules shake rapidly or when they move rapidly. Because the higher the movement, the higher the heat. Heat is basically just molecules moving rapidly. And when they move rapidly, they release energy. And when they release energy, that energy is called heat. That's basically what heat is. Yes, I studied science in high school, whatever. But here's the thing. When you control heat, that technically means you control molecules. And if you can control molecules, you can do some crazy stuff. Like you can do some insane things. And I can't even piece my mind together on all the different things you could do, but like really try to think about it. You can control molecules. And this all depends on how wide your range is, because range also matters, I guess. And like I said, it also depends on like how much energy it takes for you to actually do these things. If this is one of those powers that you can just do, like that doesn't take any energy from you, then I guess it's limitless. And if it's limitless, then you can technically control all the molecules in the entire universe, which means you can basically end the world immediately if you wanted to. So yeah, let's pass that, or put a limitation on these. Let's make these powers limited. Let's say it takes basically the same amount of energy it takes for an average person to run like a mile. For any of these powers to work, for if it's a radius-based power, then let's say a 50-mile radius. So if you wanted to control heat around a 50-mile radius, it takes that much energy to take for you to run a mile. I don't know. That's kind of what I'm thinking of, because that's the easiest way to cap these abilities without it becoming world-ending, right? Because otherwise, you can just do anything. Like. Any power can be upskilled to anything. Literally any power. And I'm talking about like literally anything. Like the ability to jump really high. Like just think about that. Like, okay, I can jump really high. What does that entail? That's when you really realize that a lot of things are kind of crazy. So you have the ability to jump really high. What does that mean? First of all, if your legs are capable of just jumping, like let's say, like I said, 50-mile radius, you can jump as high as 50 miles in one leap. That means you're basically invulnerable, or you're as invulnerable as possible. You're as invulnerable as a tick in body weight ratio. I don't know the best way to explain this, because a little known thing. Tick can basically jump the height of a human being. A tick is like a bug, like a very tiny bug. It can jump the height of a human being. It can jump at least 3 meters high. If a tick can do that for its body size, that's the equivalent of a human being jumping the Empire State Building. I think I've made a video about this like a long time ago, like years ago. But this is literally a fact. And if a tick can do that and your body was in relation to the tick, I don't know exactly how tall a 5-mile distance would be. I'm not exactly sure how to ratio this, but imagine you could jump as high as the Empire State Building. If you could do that, then dude, that's like not just groundbreaking in a sense, it's literally groundbreaking. Why? Because one very, very weirdly, ignored fact about flying, about like jumping really, really high, is the downward force you're putting on the ground. Because at the end of the day, the whole thing about how equal and opposite, everyone knows that this is like Newton's, is this second law? I actually kind of forgot. The Newton's law that states that action and reaction are equal and opposite. So if that could happen, like if you could jump that high, then you're putting in the ground that much force as well. And I'm pretty sure you could cause an earthquake with that much force. And not just an earthquake, you could probably burrow yourself in the ground, or at least burrow your legs in the ground. Because like, if your legs could literally just eject themselves with that much force down, then you're basically like strong enough to just like force your legs through concrete, like immediately. You wouldn't jump. That's the thing, you literally wouldn't jump. If your body could put in that much force into the ground, you would just not jump. You would basically just, your legs would become like staplers. They would just staple the ground. Like your legs would just enter the ground. And that's kind of flawed inherently. So I think I'll move away from that one because I don't think that really would work. And that also means that your legs are like the most powerful, most indestructible. And not just your legs, your spine, your back, like pretty much your entire upper body, probably including your neck, because otherwise you would die from the amount of force. If you could jump on a platform that could withstand that push down, then your neck would basically snap. To just snap off, because that's so much force. Like, think about it. It's like recoil. The recoil from pulling a gun's whatever. I don't use guns, and I'm not American, so you know, whatever, American jokes. But I don't see how that could work, because that whole concept with using a gun and how it recoils back and how that would impact the surface, a little weird. And I'm pretty sure if you could map this out, you would probably be breaking a sound wave by doing that, which affects like everything about your body, affects your skin, affects your organs. Like, you would need your body to be so indestructibly impervious. So like, that's straight up impossible. Like, it's straight up impossible. The ability to just jump pretty high would be kind of nice, but that still means you'd have to have extremely strong legs. Like, extremely strong. There's a reason a lot of basketball players have tons of knee surgeries. Tons. That's like probably the most common surgery for basketball players. Or maybe ankle surgery or something, because of all the, you know, breaking of ankles. But like, this is the thing. If you could jump that high, you also need to land from that height. And maybe your ability is that good, but you only use it to jump on top of like high platforms. I guess that would work in your favor, because that way you don't have to land back all the way down. You just kind of land wherever you get to. Like, that could work. It's just it seems like such a flawed ability, unless the person with the ability is literally the strongest, like not just strong in like muscles, but like in everything, like your cartilages, your ligaments, your ligaments, your tendons, everything needs to be like so much stronger for that to work. And I'm not talking like carbon fiber strong, I'm talking about way stronger than that. So it should be like so strong that it can push itself that high and then make you land somewhere far away, or like the same spots from that height without dying, which is just insane. Like, you could basically skydive without dying. Like, I'm sure about like 50 miles all the way down to the ground, you would probably reach terminal velocity by then. Like, right? I don't remember. Look, I honestly don't remember. Like, this is a lot of physics stuff. And yeah, this video is kind of warranting me to go into physics, which isn't really my strong suit the most, but I remember a lot about physics, so I can flow. But like, I don't know the specific details. I don't know when you would reach terminal velocity, which by the way is just, that's like the maximum speed you can reach while descending or like falling towards the earth. So that, you know, because like a human body just dropped from the sky wouldn't just keep accelerating forever. Like that doesn't happen. That's not how science works. So like, it reaches terminal velocity very, like at some, I've forgotten the measurements, and I could just check the internet right now and look smart, but I'm not gonna do that because I'm an honest person. So like, that's the thing. I'm an honest person. I'm not gonna just start Googling things because I want to make a podcast. It's kind of, I don't know. I could if I wanted to, but I'm just saying I don't want to do that. It could also just be because I'm lazy and I'm using my phone to record and my laptop's right over there, so I don't want to like look away and do stuff. So whatever. Moving on. Next power, I think I should go to heat vision. Heat vision. Okay, that comes with its own set of problems. First of all, like, what exactly is heat vision? Like, what the hell is that? Is that like the same ability that I mentioned at first, controlling molecules, but from your eyes? Like, or are you just like shooting laser beams from your eyes? I guess that's what most comics use. They use like laser beams as the answer, that your eyes can just produce laser beams. So like, those aren't eyes at that point, right? Or like, they are eyes, they do enable you to see, but like at this point they're just laser guns.
like embedded in your head that also enable you to see, because that is so insane. And like imagine the amount of power a human being will have to release to shoot lasers from your eyes. Like that's insane. That means your body has to like be extremely powerful. You have to have so much energy in your body to be able to produce that much laser. And think about the fact that you're not absorbing it back. So your body has to have some kind of mechanism to convert food or sunlight or something, like Superman's case, to energy, and then use that energy to produce whatever you want to produce. Because that's like the whole thing with Superman, right? So like I don't know, your body has to be like some insanely strong, powerful inverter. And I'm pretty sure Superman's lasers do they affect him? I don't know much about Superman, so I don't know. Maybe some people out there know, but I don't think Superman's heat vision affects him at all. Like not just in his head. Like if you shot it at himself, would it affect him? I don't know. Maybe not. And also, like the popular joke goes, would that make him strong or weak? If you could hurt yourself, does that make you strong or does that make you weak? My personal answer to it is it doesn't make you anything. Like it's just you hurting yourself. Everyone hurts themselves all the time. The only reason we produce cancer in our body is because our body actively tries to hurt itself by freaking mitosis that doesn't go well in cell division and stuff, whatever. I'm going too deep into things. But like, that's the thing. If you could hurt yourself, that doesn't make you weak or strong. That's not a measure of your power. That's just you hurting yourself. That's just an action that happened. It doesn't measure anything. That's basically what I'm saying. Because you could be very weak and hurt yourself, and you could be very strong and hurt yourself. Like it doesn't change shit. I don't know. So back to powers, right? I brought up the heat vision thing. I don't exactly think there's a way I can measure that because it's just insane. You basically have to be Superman to do that. And I feel like with Superman's powers, his heat vision comes a lot of different other things. Because like also your eyelids, doesn't that mean like your eyelids have to be impervious to laser beams? And your eyeballs are basically indestructible. Like if you like your eyeballs are producing lasers. Like they're basically indestructible. That's what I'm saying. Like I just said that twice. Like they're basically indestructible. Your eyes are basically indestructible. So like I don't know. It's a crazy case. It could just be one of those things where it produces lasers, but not too hot. Like your eyes would only like heat something up, you know, like they wouldn't like shoot red beams like how the movies portray it. But like who knows? It could be anything. Because like we've seen real lasers in action. We've seen how they work, and a lot of laser beams don't actually have like lights that we can see. Some of them are like infrared rays, so we can't even see the color. And the fact that Superman's laser vision is red means a lot. Like that means it's in some specific spectrum of heat that it's that powerful. And usually when it goes from blue to red in general for like heat shift like this is like a spectrometer diagram thing I'm thinking of. When it goes from blue to red, it usually means that it's like more energy, I guess, or faster. I think that just means speed. That's like there's this blue shift or red shift that happens in space based on like light speed movement. See, I'm getting too deep into this, and this is kind of the problem with me discussing things like this. It's there's so much nitty-gritty. There's so much things involved that I have to think about because I'm a very logical thinker. Water breathing, like the ability to breathe underwater. First of all, I don't think this is a superpower because this is a thing you can just do. Like I don't think there's anything super about an ability that organisms already have, right? Because I feel like if it's a superpower, it has to be something fantastical. Like it has to be something out of the ordinary. And water breathing is just it's a thing a lot of different animals can do, like reptiles or like amphibians. Amphibians can breathe underwater and on land. Some of them have gills and can still breathe air normally. So I don't know, it just feels like, okay, that means you're basically genetically modified. So you have a power, you know, compared to the average person, but I don't classify that as a superpower. Sorry, Aquaman. I mean, to be fair, Aquaman has other things that probably make him more like a superhero, like the fact that he can control animals. Like, that's a big deal. I feel like that does make him super. Like it makes him super. And like someone like the what's his name, the Kul Khan in Black Panther. that kind of character. What's his actual name? The Submariner. And for those of you who don't know, like that's the original Aquaman. Okay, like that guy came before Aquaman, which is kind of crazy. But he didn't blow up as much. First of all, because he looks kind of funny. He has wings on his feet. What the hell does he have wings on his feet? What is he, a fairy? Whatever. Like that's the whole thing with the Submariner. He can like fly, and he can also breathe underwater, and I think also control animals, and like have a sonar thing. Like according to the comics, anyway. The one in Black Panther 2, like Wakanda Forever. That one is like, I think he basically just flies, has like underwater breathing and stuff, and I think he controls animals. I think so, but I'm not too sure about that one. But like he's basically like, I don't know. That's how powerful he is. He's like a crossbreed between a human being, I don't know, a bird. Like, but it's weird though, because his flight, I don't think is the same way as like a bird, right? Because he has wings on his feet. Really try to think about that. Like this dude has wings on his feet, and those wings enable him to fly. Like really try to understand. There is no animal, like literally no animal based on any form of genetics that has feet wings. And especially not an animal that has feet wings and also happens to be as tall as a human being. So like that makes him supernatural. That makes him have superpowers. That's why I feel like the Submariner is more of a super powered person than Aquaman, because he can fly. And he's not just he can fly with wings. No, I don't think he uses those wings to fly. I think those wings are just for flourish, or they're just like a symbol of the power, or like they're like an element of the power, you know, like they exist because he has the power, but without them he wouldn't have the power. You get kind of like a symbiotic relationship or something. I don't know, but like it doesn't feel like he depends on the wings to fly. But at the same time, in Black Panther, I'm pretty sure what's her name, the female Black Panther, I kind of forgotten the names. Like I'm not that good with names. There's not any form of backlash, but like I feel like I remember she cut off his wings, like the wings on his feet, or like one of them or something, and that affected his flight. So it does affect him there. So I think they're related, but it's kind of weird because look at the way he flies, for crying out loud. He doesn't fly like he's trying to hover on his feet. He literally just moves on the air, like he just zips around. The wings just happen to also be there and flapping, but like I don't think those wings help him fly. I think they're just probably for stability or something. Like that's what I imagine they are, like stability wings, like the same way we have like tail propellers on like helicopters and stuff, just for stability. I think that's exactly what the wings are doing. Or I don't know. That's pretty much what I see from that. So personally, if that was the ability to fly, then that brings up a whole course of discussion, which I don't really want to get into too much, because I feel like flying in general is just the most superpower of superpowers, and I don't even want to start discussing it because it's too much. If you really want to discuss it, you have to like really understand a lot about physics and understand why that's probable, but very much impossible, but like probable. Or the opposite, it could be very possible, but very much improbable. It depends, but like it's one or the other, because it's such a weird power. Because it's not just like it depends on the case, I guess. There are a lot of superheroes that they say like their power is that they can hover on air, like they can make their bodies less dense than the air. You can literally make your body less dense than the air. That just doesn't make any sense. You have liquid in your body. Or do they mean that they can make anything in any way connected to their bodies less dense? Because then how does the body know what's connected to it? Is it like anything in the loop? But that doesn't make sense as well, because we have things in our stomachs. We have stomach acids, and all these things aren't connected to the body. They just exist basically inside sacs in the body. If you can lift all of that in the air, then you're not making your body less dense. You're like you're basically redistributing the air around yourself. And some superheroes don't just fly in the air. That's a crazy thing. Like this guy in Omni-Man, he doesn't just fly in the air, he flies in space, which means he can just control his gravity basically, which is just insane. How
Like that's the most insane kind of power. You can control gravity, but only like for yourself, I guess, because that's kind of the limitation, I guess. Because it's I don't know, it's weird. Most powers seem like they just put a stop wherever the writer wants it, I guess. Because Stanley made this whole quote where it's like a big video on YouTube where he's like, if you're trying to understand who will win in a battle between this person and this person, like Hulk versus Ben from Fantastic Four, like the Thing, you want to figure out who will win. You know who figures out or who answers who is gonna win? The writer, the person who wrote it. You can write it so that Ben from the Thing from Fantastic Four beats the Hulk. You can write it that way. People have made a lot of these videos, like where they try to show them fighting and showcase everything. It all depends on who the creator or the writer wants to win. Because at the end of the day, these are all fantasy creatures. These are just fantasy abilities. So you can put all the limitations you want. You can put all the strength you want. You can power scale as much as you want to power scale, but it all depends on what you want. So at the end of the day, I don't feel like flying is one of those powers that's just subjective. I feel like it's specific to each like character, and based on what they think they should be able to do, I guess. Because like in Omni-Man's case, it seems like his ability, like his flying ability, sort of also gives him strength. Because like he has this insane amount of strength. Like he literally ended an entire race in space, like an entire planet, because like they were invading Earth. Remember that whole thing in the beginning of the Invincible show? Like if you watch it, it's pretty damn cool. It's one of the best like shows of that nature. It's like The Boys, but animated, and a very different storyline. But like it's basically that, and it's R-rated too. So you know, it comes with all the perks. But like that ability that he has is more than supernatural. That's bending all of physics, like all of it. And yeah, they will cap it off and say like, okay, his ability to control gravity just works on him basically, and it only affects him. He can't just control other people's gravity if he wants to. But then at the same time, you can write it into the story that he can somehow harness that ability. A lot of people have done this. Like the whole point of the next power, which I was going to go into, telekinesis, is basically just the ability to control things around you. Like you can just control anything, which is like, I don't know, that's gonna be the most vague ability there is. Telekinesis, because it's like, what do you mean you can control anything? Like your mind can literally select anything specific that you like think of or look at, or like how does it work? Is it your brain that's controlling it, or your hands? Because like a lot of movies like to do the thing where it's the hands controlling it. Like they can use their brains to control it, but usually they move their hands. I don't know why they do that, but like I guess the same way you need antennas in TV to send signals, you kind of use your hands as the antennas. I guess that's the way I've always thought about it. Like they need to use their hands to control it in a way, you know, just to stabilize things because it helps to think. And also the way humans work in general, when we like do a lot of tasks, we use our hands to like explain things and to, I don't know, move ourselves, our thoughts around. I don't know. It's one of those things I feel like it's specifically a human thing because, you know, we're the most intelligent beings on the planet, apparently. But like that's what I've always thought the reason they do that thing is. And if that is why they do that thing, then I don't know. It seems weird because that means if you cut off their hands, wouldn't that just eliminate the entire ability because then they can't control? Or maybe it just helps. Maybe they can just control from their brains. So like, yeah, I don't know. It depends on the character again, because a lot of movies have their different takes on telekinesis. But in general, telekinesis is just crazy. It's just so vague. Like we literally just labeled something that doesn't have any form of ability to be labeled. Like it's such a vague power. Like you can just control things. And sometimes they might put a limitation on the range or the size, whatever. You can control things. You can control anything. You can just select something and control it. Think about that. It's not as simple as a lot of people think right now. Like a lot of people are like, yeah, you can just look at the thing and if you want that thing to move, you make it move. How? How are you communicating with that thing? Because that's exactly what you're doing. You're communicating with it. Your brain is basically sending signals to the molecules of that thing or to the atoms of the thing, for all I care, and making that thing move. That's freaking insane. That is straight up freaking insane. And a lot of the time, it's like they can just move these things without even like adding any energy. Look at the guy in the Maw. If you know who the Maw is, I really like the Maw personally because his subservience to Thanos in Avengers and stuff is just insane to look at. Like he worships Thanos. Or at least he worshipped Thanos. It's just fun to watch because he's like he gave his all for Thanos. He gave everything. It's like he's like a golden retriever with powers. That's basically what the Maw is, because he's so powerful. He has the ability to control anything. He has telekinesis basically. So like he could just move things, reorganize things, change. Like it's almost like it's crazy. And what's cool, like even cooler about it, is his telekinesis applies to himself as well. So he can fly or float pretty much because he's just controlling things. He's not like moving the gravity around things, which could be part of the whole thing. But like the way he does it looks very specific. Like his telekinesis is so specific. Like the guy, what's this guy? Not the guy. When if you remember the scene from I think Infinity War, where he was fighting Doctor Strange and he wanted to take the time stone from him, and he like brought out rocks from the ground behind him and like did something with his hand, and those rocks turned into like spears. That's insane. Like that's straight up insane, bro. So like I don't know, it's crazy to think about it, and it's fun to think about at the same time because it's like these abilities are insane. But personally, my personal favorites when it comes to all of these abilities, and one that I've always cherished in my mind that I know sounds very I don't know, like it sounds horrible to a lot of people, is telepathy, right? Telepathy. Really think about that. First of all, for people who don't know, telepathy is the ability to control minds. That has to be the best ability ever. Like, ever. The most powerful person, I feel, has to be someone who can control any organism, any living thing. Like, mentally. You can tap into their consciousness. You're basically Charles Xavier. Yes, that's my favorite ability, because it's the most like reasonable ability in a sense, because it feels like something that could be possible because we're tapping into a particular field of biology and science that we've not really delved too deep into, which is consciousness. So you can control consciousness. That is insane. Like you can control people's consciousness. They're like will. You can control them. You can tap into their minds. That's insane, dude. And yes, I am specifically talking about the one that Charles Xavier has. It's from X-Men. I'm specifically talking about him because I know there are a lot of different characters that also have telepathy, but their telepathy is more of like they can read thoughts. And that's cool as well, I guess. Like that is pretty cool. Like if I wanted to look for the base level telepathy, I would appreciate that. That's great. Like that's straight up great. You can literally read people's thoughts. Yes, that means that no one's free. Like no one's free from your ability to just read their thoughts. Yes. And that could come with its abilities to manipulate people. Yes, but come on, every single freaking power comes with that. Like every single power can be used for bad. Every single power can be used for good. The only difference in this case is that you're like straight up incognito. Like the person does not know that it's you. You can just control anyone. Imagine you were in a train station and some guy just randomly took over you. Some guy just randomly started controlling you, started making you do whatever the heck you want. Yes, there's always a bad side to everything, okay? Imagine you could fly and you just decided to fly into buildings, or you decided to just lift people up and take them into the sky and drop them. You can do anything bad with any power, okay? So the fact that everyone thinks immediately, telepathy, he wants to manipulate people. Well, that's exactly what every power does. Every power is in one way or the other manipulating people around them. Like the only reason you would want the ability to fly is not just to be able to move back and forth. You also be able to do a lot of physical things that a lot of people should be able to do, but you can now do it better. Yeah. So like your power is advantageous to yourself as much as you want it to be. So if you feel like you would get the power, but you don't really want to use it to control people, then it's fine. But in that case, that power wouldn't work. So technically, to become a useless power, if basically you didn't use it to read people's minds, and it's kind of weird, you know.
But at the same time, you could work for the government if you want to. You know, you could work to help. I don't know, as a lie detector. You know, you could become a lie detector for hire, and you'll probably be the most sought after person in the entire universe. But like, that's the thing. With great power comes great respect. Yeah, of course. Like, this is the thing. I just feel like I like the power because it's so convenient, it's so reasonable, especially the type that Charles Xavier has, like I keep saying, because I don't want you to think too much broader, because if you thought about it the way, like, for example, this guy in X-Men Apocalypse, when he took over Charles Xavier's mind and he was able to amplify his ability, if you think about it in that perspective, then it's like he can literally control everyone in the entire world. And that's crazy. I don't want to go too deep into that because I can't trust myself that I would use that power for good, because I can literally just manipulate everyone everywhere and no one would know it was me. So it's like, I don't know, I'll basically become God. Like, at that point, I'm just God. Like, no questions, just God. And yes, I'm still capable. I could still die, I could still do this, but like, I would live like a king for the rest of my life. And not like a king, I would live as a god for the rest of my life. Because everyone would just have to do what I want them to do. And we could also add the disadvantage of the whole thing with X-Men, which is like, if people wear that hat, that cap that Magneto wears. I don't know what it's made of again, but like, it's this bronze looking helmet. If you wear that helmet, then I guess you're like, I wouldn't be able to connect with your brain, but like, at the end of the day, like, you kind of have to know that for it to not work on you. So, you know, it all depends. Maybe there might be some people who just already have that on their heads. I don't know. I'm breaking this too deep. I'm breaking too deep into this, but like, I feel like this would be such a cool ability because it's just awesome. Okay, like, leave me alone. I know I'm a bit of a psychopath. I want to be able to read people's minds or maybe control them if I need to. But fine, look. I can use it for good too. Okay, I can use it for good. I could save people's lives. I could go abroad and stop criminals from doing things by controlling them. I could literally cause instant world peace if I want to, or the opposite as well. It all depends on the personality. But personally, like I just said that like 3 times, I feel like it's my favorite ability. A bonus ability that I also feel would be pretty damn sweet to have, like a very, very nice ability that also comes with its downsides, is let me think about it for a sec, because I just thought about it, then I forgot about it. Now I'm trying to recall what I was thinking of. Was it super speed? Nah, I don't think it was super speed, because like super speed comes with its own flaws, like its own negative things that happen when you're able to like literally run faster than the speed of whatever sound or whatever. Like, it's I don't know. It feels insane that a person can actually move his body that fast. Because, like, the way Flash does it is sort of a cheat. Because they're like, he harnesses the Speed Force. What the hell is a Speed Force? They literally just made up a thing, and we're like, yeah, he uses that thing to do what he does. That's it. So, like, they don't want the fans to think, okay, how does he do this? They just said, okay, so there's just a thing that exists. It's called the Speed Force, and he uses that. And because he uses that, he's invulnerable from any of the other things that come with that kind of ability, which is kind of, I don't know, it's a babyish way to say. I don't know how to explain this ability in any way that makes sense. At least I like the fact that Marvel was like, you know what, I'm not going to try explaining this. Quicksilver is just a fast guy. He's just a very fast guy, and that's it. No explanations needed. Because if you try to explain it, you realize why there's a big issue there. And that's kind of my biggest problems with shows that try to really explain powers. It's like, it's either you really go all fantasy and just say, they just have this power, it's fine, just accept it and run with that. Or, I guess you try to break things down and try to make it more plausible, but then you'll run into a lot of issues at the end of the day, because it's a power, it's an ability. It's kind of weird, like when you really think about it, but what's this other ability I was thinking about? Give me a sec. I'm trying to like reason out what I was planning to say, because I had this idea right before I said telepathy. A specific idea. Oh yeah, the ability to control time. I was gonna say that because I was like, this is one of those ones I need to discuss. I think this was the reason I even started this. I even thought about this topic. I was like, wait, you want to be able to control time, right? But do you fully realize what that entails? And sorry, I looked left. I had to like check, make sure I was still recording. Like, do you really realize what that means? That you can control time. That's the most, like, that has to be, or maybe not the most, because the most vague ability is still, to me, telekinesis. But the second most vague ability I can think of is time control. Because where do you even start from? And what kind of time control? What kind of anything? Where do you classify the beginning? Where do you say this is my limit? How do you even limit it? How do you ration out how much energy is used? Like, it's so vague. Like, it's so vague. How do you ration that out? Like, you're able to control time. You know what that means? You can control entropy. You know, entropy. You know, time is a human construct. The world is just expanding, but we happen to have consciousness, and our consciousness happens to be in a specific time range of our like conception. It's very complicated stuff to think about. But basically, for those of you who are willing to listen to this, listen. For those of you who don't want to hear this jargon, I guess skip a few minutes forward. But like, basically, time is all just entropy. It's just energy moving from one position to the other. And based on scientific theory, the Big Bang, that's like an explosion. Start from that point, because before that point, we don't really know because we can't know. But from that point on, expansion is happening. And that expansion is what's leading to our movements. Everything we do is just expansion. It feels weird to some people to think about, because people are like, wait, I'm not expanding. What do you mean expansion? I know I ate a few burgers yesterday, but I'm not expanding. That was a stupid joke. But like, this is the thing. Expansion doesn't always have to be linear. It's not exactly what you would always think. Expansion doesn't mean movement from point A to point B directly. That's not exactly expansion. Expansion is literally how life works. It's decay. It's movement of some sort. That's the whole expansion. And because that expansion is occurring and we are able to conceive that expansion, that's what time is to us. So literally, the reason like I brought this up is like a lot of smart people like Neil deGrasse Tyson have said is time relative to certain things, certain organisms in the universe is very different. Time relative to light, to a photon, for example, is instantaneous. It's literally instantaneous. Time, all of time relativity is based on light. All of the time relativity we know of as human beings that we can conceive is all based on light. It's based on the distance traveled ratioed to light, because light is the fastest thing in the universe. Like, it's crazy to think about, because it's like it's one of those things that a lot of people come to be like, well, how do you know that for sure? How do you know there's not something faster than light? Well, that's because of all, like I always say, of all the things we've understood at the moment, all the things we've understood about matter, about things that create the emptiness or that fill up the emptiness of space itself, all the things that we know, everything would disintegrate. It would literally cease to exist if it speeds faster than light. If it gets to that point where it's faster than light, then it would disintegrate. And because of this whole thing, it's like time how do you exactly like understand what time is? And then how do you go as far as to control it? How do you do that? Because if you could control time, that means you can reverse entropy. You can literally control the universe. And that is just straight up vague. It's just straight up. Because, like, just how? That's the best way I can put that. How? Anyway, I don't know. This is getting too deep even for me, and I don't want to fill up your time too much. But like, I don't know. It's just fun to think about this, because it's crazy watching shows where they just give characters some vague ability, and they're like, yeah, you can do that, and that's it. You're just able to do it, and then just so that fans don't question things too much, you're like, it's because of this he can do it, so it's fine. He can control time because he happens to have a stone that is part of like the creation of the universe. When the universe was created, okay, fine. This belief suspended, basically. Disbelief suspended, because like the whole point of movie making is usually, like for sci-fi specifically, is to suspend disbelief. And for those of you who don't know, suspension of disbelief literally means you have disbelief in a thing. You don't believe in a thing, and you're able to put that aside and just accept it. That's the meaning of suspension of disbelief. I feel like I have to explain that because like 3 times I've had to explain this to my friends, and it's kind of embarrassing that you have to explain what suspension of disbelief is. Because you just literally break down the words. You suspend your belief, or actually you suspend your disbelief, meaning you suspend your distrust in a thing happening, or your, I don't know, concept of that thing happening. You suspend the fact that you know that can't happen. You stop that from happen. Like, I don't know the best way. Just suspension of disbelief. That's the best way to put it. And generally for superpowers and superheroes, that's all they do. So it's kind of funny to really break things down and realize that a lot of these things don't make any sense. And yeah, a lot of people have talked about it. There's this dude on YouTube called, I think, Kyle Hill or something like that. I'm not really sure. But he was on this channel. I don't know if he's still on the channel. It's called Because Science. Very fun channel. Yes, I'm a bit of a nerd. I like watching stuff like that all the time, and that's the whole thing I talked about in my, like, I talk about this all the time. I'm probably going to make an episode about it and how you really, really need to gather as much knowledge as possible, because it just helps in general. It's nice to be able to understand things. It's really nice. Like, I don't believe in ignorance is bliss. I think ignorance is scary. But like, I guess full absolute ignorance is bliss. But a little bit of sense, like in that ignorance, to understand that you are ignorant is freaking scary. Because then you don't know anything. Like, anything could happen and you just not know. You're just along for the ride. Whatever. This has been a very, very long ramble, and I'm pretty sure this is like my longest video right now. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do in the editing. I'm probably not going to cut anything out because I don't like cutting things out of my videos. I like it's just brain to mouth, and that's what I enjoy most about podcasts. That's what I listen to a lot of podcasts for. So I hope you guys enjoy this, and you guys will see me in the next video. Definitely. Have fun, you beautiful people. Check you guys out next time. Get out of here.